Welcome back for another timeless video. Today we'll be taking a look at this mono green strip lock deck. The purpose of this deck is to use the strip mine to essentially keep your opponent from having any mana. And from there, you can use any of your creature cards to eventually whittle away at your opponent's life points until you win the game. So how does the deck go about doing this? First, we have 4 copies of Chalice of the Void. This is helpful to lock out our opponents either from their powerful 1-mana spells or from their 0 drops to prevent them from playing cards such as Chrome Mox, which we won't be able to strip away. And then when it comes to finding our strip mine, we can either draw it naturally or we can use our crop rotation to go find it from the deck. Crop rotation can also be used to go get our Ancient Tomb and help ramp us out into some cards that will let us reiterate strip mine from our graveyard. We also have 4 copies of Elvish Reclaimer, which will allow us again to go search up either our Ancient Tomb or our strip mine from the deck. And then we have 4 copies of Once Upon a Time, which we can use to help fix out our opening hands. We also have 4 copies of Scythecat Cub, as our deck will be playing multiple lands each turn. This is a good, quick, aggressive threat that we can play, and occasionally against certain decks, this card might be able to win the game on its own, even without the prison element of stripping our opponent's lands out. Then when it comes to recurring the strip mine from our graveyard, we have 2 copies of Reminap Excavator. This will allow us to play the strip mine from our graveyard each turn. 4 copies of Wary Zone Guard, which enters the battlefield tapped, and then the survival mechanism states that at the beginning of our second main phase, if this creature is tapped, we can return 1 target land from our graveyard to the battlefield, and then the Zone Guard will also grow in power and toughness. So the first turn we play this, it will automatically bring back the land if it survives, and then on subsequent turns we will have to successfully attack with it without having our opponent destroy it. The good thing about the Wary Zone Guard, though, is that the land comes in untapped, so we're able to use the strip mine the same turn that the Zone Guard is dropped onto the battlefield. And then we have 4 copies of Ice-Till Explorer. Similar to the other 2 cards, this allows us to play lands from our graveyard, and it also allows us to play an additional land each turn, so we can play out the same strip mine multiple times if needed. And it has the additional landfall effect of milling a land each time, milling a card each time a land enters the battlefield. So if we do not have a strip mine in our graveyard yet, normal land drops will help dig, and eventually we will get one in there. Then for acceleration, we have 4 copies of Chrome Mox, 1 Exploration, and 2 Deathrite Shaman, which can also act as Graveyard Hate against a Reanimator strategy. Deathrite Shaman, most notably, probably won't be successful in keeping the Oops All Spells Balustrade Spy decks at bay, unless they only have a single creature card that shuffles back into their deck. We might be able to pick it off, or if they're trying to do a reanimation based line with Thassa's Oracle. For the mana base, we have a single copy of Bojuka Bog, which will be tutorable with Crop Rotation and Elvish Reclaimer to try and combat some of the graveyard strategies. 4 copies of Forest, 1 Overgrown Tomb, 1 Underground Mortuary, 4 Ancient Tomb for fast mana, the Namesake Strip Mine, 4 copies, 4 copies of Verdant Catacombs as a fetch land, and then we also have 4 copies of Bridgeworks Battle, which can be used as a land, can be pitched to Chrome Mox, and occasionally it will also be used as a fight spell to try and remove a creature from the opponent's side of the board. Before we jump into the gameplay, I'd like to ask you to please like and subscribe the video. It really helps the channel. And without further ado, let's jump into the games. All right, this hand has a strip mine, Once Upon a Time to dig for a recursive effect, and a couple Elvish Reclaimers. I'll give it a try. Fetch land from our opponent. We'll take our draw step before using Once Upon a Time to help inform our decision. This pause could be due to interaction or just the fetch land holding up the timer. And I think we're going to want our Zone Guard here. We'll play out a Chrome Mox. Imprint an Elvish Reclaimer. And then we will run out our Strip Mine. In this scenario, we want to deter our opponent from surveilling to prevent them from getting that added bit of information. We're actually up against a Merfolk deck, so we can expect to see some counter spells from our opponent's side of the board. No need to strip mine right now. We can wait to see what we draw. It's another land. So here I think we can strip mine our opponent. They'll float a mana. We'll change phases. Let's see if they flash in a creature. This will burn off their mana if they don't use it. They have a Trickster, so instead of rotating away a forest here, we will just play a Mortuary tapped and look for our next play. No land from our opponent, so we will attempt the Zone Guard. We'll hit in with Reclaimer, and our opponent concedes. This is a good hand. We can strip 3 times before needing to have some other type of interaction. We'll start with Once Upon a Time and take an Ancient Tomb. And we will lead on a Forest so that we can rotate into a Bojuka Bog if needed. And a Mountain from our opponent. Here we will strip mine and play out our Elvish Reclaimer. Next turn, we can crop rotate into another strip mine, or we can use our Reclaimer and get rid of our Ancient Tomb. Could be an energy deck on the opponent's side of the field. We'll play out Exploration. An Ancient Tomb, and I do think that we will rotate away one of our forests to go get another strip mine. Then we'll pass it back. Third Mountain. And an Ice Tilt. So we will use our Chrome Mox and imprint our crop rotation, and this will allow us to play strip mine from our graveyard twice. And we can also grab the forest since we have an extra land drop with our exploration. we'll pass it back to our opponent. And they concede. This hand is good. We'll start off with a chalice on 0. And then we'll play exploration. Hold up crop rotation. Utopia Sprawl from our opponent. Which we will strip mine. And our opponent concedes. We are on the play. We have 2 chrome mocks and a strip mine that we can use to play out our wary zone guard. This will be a keep. I think on turn 1 we will play out our chrome mocks, imprinting one of the battles. Then we can play our reclaimer and our strip mine. If our opponent has a discard spell, they're likely to take the guard anyway, so that's why I'm not playing out the chrome mocks at the moment. And here we hope to draw a card that we can imprint to the chrome mocks. We do not. I think in this situation we just want to strip mine our opponent. And then we are actually going to play out our chrome mocks and play our chalice on 1. This is to try and get any discard or dark ritual type card stuck in our opponent's hand. And then any land off the top will get us our guard into play. We get a cub instead. No land from our opponent, so we get another chance here. And an Ancient Tomb will do it. Our opponent will likely concede. We'll strip immediately. The chalice means that our opponent would need a chrome mox of their own to get up to 2 mana, as anything they cast for 1 mana will be countered. Looting will be countered, and our opponent concedes. Here we have a bit of fast mana and a way to tutor our strip mine. And we also have the Ice Till to recruit from the graveyard. I think we will give it a try. Although it is not perfect, it is a bit slow to get our recursion going on. And we would rather the Bojuka Bog be in the deck, but here we'll play out the Bog tapped and hold up crop rotation. And we'll pass to our opponent. Okay, going to be a prison deck. We do want to get a body in front of Ragavan so that it cannot continue to connect. And here for mana efficiency, I think we will rotate away our Bog. And we are going to start with Ancient Tomb so that we can get a blocker down. And the Excavator is actually perfect. We don't mind losing it to a burn spell, and we can get immediate value. We'll pass it back. The problem with Ragavan is if we strip mine their Great Furnace and they continue to play out creatures, then we will not be able to stop them from getting the treasure tokens, and the strip mine lock will be ineffective. Here I'm debating on whether to fight the Ragavan or to play out the Ice Till, and I think we will use our fetch land and play out the Ice Till. We'll get an extra land drop, which can help us dig towards a strip mine. Unfortunate to see a crop rotation go. We'll pass the turn. Magus of the Moon, we can use our fight spell to take that out, but we will fetch and get our Surveil before it enters. And then we don't want another fight spell. We draw one anyway. We will use leaving our Ancient Tomb up. We'll fetch first to thin the deck and also keep our land drop available in case we hit the strip mine. We do not. I think we have one more fetchable left in the deck. We'll swing in with the Ice Till. We don't mind sacrificing a Ramanap to removal, but we don't want to lose our Ice Till and our Graveyard Recursion on our lands, since that is our way for digging for strip mine. We're almost through half our deck here. We haven't found one yet, which is unfortunate. If we'd had one a couple turns ago, we probably would have won the game by now. Another way for our opponent to create treasure tokens here. And a Chalice of the Void. So we could play this out for 3 mana. We could play this out for 5 mana to try and stop Fury from coming into play. 4 mana would be for the Goyf. 3 mana for cards like Fable, Broadside. So we will start off with a Forest. We hit another Verdant. I think here we have to fight the Fable token, unfortunately. Still no strip mine. We'll fight with our Ice Till. And then I think we will drop our Chalice on 3. Although that is one of our better numbers as well. So we probably... We'll save it. We'll try to pick off a Fury. I think our opponent is trying to hard cast one. What else would they have in hand that they haven't really played out yet? Another Moon effect would probably win the game for our opponent. So they get rid of a couple lands. And there's the Ancient Tomb. Let's see if they have the Fury follow-up to take out our Ice Till. It's a 1 ring instead. This could also act as a win condition for us. This looks like it could be the Fury here. Will they pitch it? Pyrokinesis instead. And they exiled another Ragavan. So now we're down to one recursive threat. We'll take our draw. Finally, a crop rotation. So we will rotate away our Bojuka Bog. And we will tutor up a Strip Mine. We'll start working on our opponent's red mana, starting with the artifacts. And then here I think we will play out our Chalice on 0. And we will pass the turn back to our opponent. Draw 2 with the 1 ring. They bolt in another red mana. This could be the Fury. There it is. And now they're going to start getting treasures from the Ragavan as well. So I think this one has slipped away from us. It just took us way too long, half the deck, to find our first Strip Mine, which is unfortunate. And another land off the top. I am comfortable throwing in the towel here. This hand has a Chalice on 1 and on 0 for turn 1. And then we can follow up with a Scythe-capped Cub or Excavator. We will keep. We'll play out our Chalice on 0. And then on 1. We will bolt ourselves and play out the Scythe-capped Cub. Our opponent will likely grab a Surveil land, and they do. They mill over an island. They play another island. Here we will attempt to play another Cub. They will likely get countered. They let it through, so we will play a Forest, and we'll put both on the attacking Cub. We will swing for 4. And our opponent takes it. Down to 15. Alright. And Wang Shitang from our opponent. Right now it is a 1-1, and with our crop rotation shut off, we will not be tutoring. Here we'll play out another Scythe-capped Cub into an Ancient Tomb. We will spread out the counters. Swing for 9. Our opponent fetches up a plains. They have 3 mana here, and they will return one of the cubs to our hands. And they will take 4. We're both at 10 life. We do have a bit more pressure on the board right now. They warp in a Riddler. With Chalice on 1, we don't have to worry about Ephemerate. Strip Mine is a good pickup. This will help delay the Riddler from being cast. So we will start off with a cub. And then we'll play the Strip Mine. Again, spreading out the counters. Then we will swing for 9. Our opponent takes the chump block. Down to 2. And we will go for one of their lands. That chump block does allow them to fetch here, down to 1, but it will shut off future fetches. And they have a second Surveil land in their deck. They need a board wipe, or I don't think, right, they could have 3 Solitudes in hand, but the odds of that are very slim. They would also need 3 white cards. They don't have it. So we get over the finish line. Good game. This hand has a Once Upon a Time for initial selection and a crop rotation to search for a Strip Mine, but that will leave both of these Chromox stranded in our hand. I think we can do better, so we'll take a mulligan. This looks good. We'll keep it and put one of the Zone Guards back in the deck. We will start with a fetch land to protect against opposing Strip Mines. An indestructible land from our opponent is not what we want to see. Here we will play out another land and pass. Mox Opal. So this will be the affinity deck. That land we will be able to strip. I think here for mana efficiency we will rotate away one of our lands for an Ancient Tomb. And then here we will strip the Vault of Whispers. Our opponent stifles, that's fine. Try to dodge a second stifle and play out our Zone Guard. This will return our Strip Mine and we'll go for the Vault again. This temporarily turns off Mox Opal as well. Memory Garden is fine. Our opponent concedes. I don't know what was in their hand, but the Affinity deck still has a chance at winning this one. They're not under any pressure yet, so that might have been an early concession. This is a double Strip Mine hand. Against the fair deck, it should be fairly strong. We'll give it a try. I think here we imprint our Reclaimer and play Chalice on 1. And that's good enough for the victory. We have Once Upon a Time here to have some initial card selection, exploration for ramp. No lock pieces, but we'll give it a try. I think here we do want to Once Upon a Time right away to see what we're working with. This will help us sculpt a plan. And I think we will take the reclaimer here. Play exploration. Chrome box imprint our shaman. Then we can play out our reclaimer, and the strip mine will hold ancient tomb. So we're just really trying to dodge a turn one explosive start from decks like Oops All Spells that can win before we're able to hold up Bajuka Bog. And we have a turn one Tameo from our opponent, and they have a flooded strand, so we cannot strip. We do draw into a Chalice on 1, which we will play out using our Chrome Box and Forest. See if our opponent has a Brainstorm. They do not. And then we'll play out Ancient Tomb and pass the turn. Our opponent does not crack their fetch land. They'll generate a clue token here. Let's see if they have a follow-up play. An Ancient Tomb of their own, which indicates that this might be some form of a show and tell deck. We will strip mine it immediately. And they use it to crack their clue. Here I think we will rotate away our Ancient Tomb and go grab another strip mine. Ice Till is an unfortunate pickup. If we had our Ancient Tomb in play, we would be able to play it here. I think we are forced to pass. A second Chrome Box from our opponent is perfect for them, but it's not what we want to see. And so yeah, Mystical Tutor, that's going to be so that they can tutor up their show and tell. So we'll take another hit from Tameo, generating a second clue. And then here we will rotate away our strip mine and go grab another Ancient Tomb. And if this is not countered, we will be able to double wasteland their flooded strand. They might grab a surveil land here. Nope, just a regular island. We'll attack in with our Elvish Reclaimer. After no blocks, we will strip their island. This will grow our Reclaimer back up to a 3/4. And they crack one of their clues. Down to 14. They continue to swing in with Tameo. They will be able to draw each turn because of their 2 Chrome Box. And then there is no additional land from our opponent. Here we will swing in with both of our creatures. And then we'll return our lands from our graveyard. We can always strip one of our own lands to repump Elvish Reclaimer. And a third Chrome Mox from our opponent. Quite unfortunate. So that's 3 Chrome Mox in the top 16 cards of their deck. Do they continue to swing with Tamiyo? They do. We'll take our draw. Cub is a phenomenal pickup. And our opponent concedes. Good game. This hand has turn 1 Chrome Mox holding up Crop Rotation, Chalice of the Void for interaction, and a couple strip mines. I think we will give it a try. A mud deck from our opponent. We will lead off with a strip mine. And then I think we imprint one of our crop rotations and get the Deathrite Shaman down for some ramp next turn. Radiant Fountain for some life gain. Here we will make some green mana, play out our Cub, and then we will strip mine their fountain. And our opponent concedes. So there you have the deck. As you can see, it presents a couple different ways of winning the game. There are some decks where if you put Chalice down on the correct value, your opponent will concede on the spot, whether it's the Affinity deck and you clip their 0 drops, or a lot of decks rely on 1 drops to function. So you can easily get some wins that way. One thing to note that came up a few times is that Chalice on 1 does interact with a handful of cards in our deck, most notably Crop Rotation. Crop Rotation is a key piece that we use to either get our Strip Mine or Ancient Tomb, and it can also be used to get Bojuka Bog in certain scenarios as well. And we did see that come up a few times in the game. Outside of that, it is notable too that this deck you probably don't want to use on the ranked ladder to try and level up. While it is capable of locking your opponents out of games and getting a good number of victories, there are quite a few decks in the format that can just go right under it. Most notably, I cut some of the videos from this clip where we came up against Oops All Spells, where they were on the play and they just comboed off on turn 1, and our deck had no interaction. And at the moment, with the card base in Timeless, there aren't many ways for decks to interact on turn 1 outside of Force of Negation. And so until they print some more early interaction, potentially Force of Will, we're likely to continue to see these really fast combo decks in the format, especially in Best of 1. Outside of that, I was very happy with how the deck came together. We got quite a few prison wins. We had some action from Scythecap Cub. I believe the one game we had 3 of them in play at one time, which scaled up quite quickly. And this is a fun deck to play. If you enjoy prison type decks, I would definitely recommend giving it a try. And I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like for more content.